Okay, we're recording. Hi, Jedi. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I just wanted to chat with you about you. You actually have a few home birth experiences. Maybe you could give me a little background to the births you had before we worked together, and just kind of like how home birth even came into like your mind, or were you hesitant at all? Sometimes partners can be hesitant. And so were you just like game the whole time, or what was your process around like deciding on a home birth the first time?
Okay, yeah. So my background is starts a long time ago, about 39 years ago, when I was born in a little two-bedroom shack with no PG&E.
That's right, I
And
forgot you said that.
so yeah, so I was done as a birth, and I was my mom's I think second home birth. She had her first. She had in the hospital.
Mhm.
Back then, hospital births were far different than they are today. Back in the 70s and 80s, they took the babies away from the mom right away. And so part of the movement back then was, back then when I was born, was back to the earth, and have babies at home. And that was a pretty new concept back then. And so fast forward, 20 something years, when I had my first, I had my first in a hospital, and it was here in Ukiah. It was, it was a great setting, that was awesome, but I wanted to have a home birth. And so the I've had now I've done three babies home birth.
Mhm.
So I have a 11
And
year
so
old.
were you like wanting a home birth at the first, and like your partner was a little hesitant, or like why the hospital the first time?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, this was the partner I was with. Just didn't feel comfortable with a home birth, and they wanted that. I guess what would you call it, the safety of the hospital? I mean, home births aren't for everybody. There's a lot of I guess maybe stigma around it or something, or just a lot of caution or a lot of fear, a lot of you know just unknown for a lot of people, and so home births make some people nervous, but going through the process, I wouldn't do it any other way unless I didn't have a choice about it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
especially working with a midwife like yourself and Lisa. So Lisa was actually she actually worked on my second home birth. So that was the second time I worked with Lisa, and it's just it's really a magical process, to see that whole process, transfold, and it's an ancient process, and it's just magical. And being in your own home, I think it just makes it that much more powerful of an experience. Just yeah, I'm a firm believer in the home birth.
How were the experiences? Were they pretty like smooth and straightforward? Were there any bumps along the way, either during prenatal or labor?
No, all the let's see, all the prenatal, everything was good. Everything was good. The first home birth went off. No problems. The second one was a little bit more intense. So the umbilical cord got wrapped around the baby's neck,
Mhm.
and there was definitely some tense moments after she came out. She didn't breathe for a long time, and so um, that was yeah, that was definitely um, a little bit. That was a little bit tough
Yeah.
watching that process happen.
Did the midwives breathe for?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they actually did some mouth to mouth for there, and then all of a sudden she just started crying.
Mhm.
So, it's like I said, it's a magical process.
So you guys were able to stay home and with that baby too. You didn't have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah, they got
Great.
the baby, they got her to breathe, and the color came into her. She
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little while for babies and like the cord around the neck, that I see that in like, it's like a third of births. It's a pretty common thing. And most of the time it's like loose enough and everything. Sometimes, it can like just shock the babies a little bit if it's really tight and squeezy, not because they don't breathe that way, they're breathing through their umbilical cord. So, but just like having something constrict around your throat can be like shocking for some babies. Yeah. And they just take
Yeah,
a little bit of time to come around. Yeah.
yeah. So that was the deal on that one.
Mhm.
And then the last one that was with you was definitely, I think, the most like just what was it, most natural. That baby what happened in the water. And so on the
Was
other
that the
ones,
first? The other ones weren't water births?
well, we had the tub set up, but they didn't actually, when it came time to push, it's just the mom didn't want to be in the tub, or
Yeah. Some
I mean,
people
it's
don't.
just kind of at that point, it's just however, to get that last thing
Yeah.
done, it's whatever, it's however they want to do it, however,
Right.
um, you so yeah, so that was really an awesome thing to see, because she came out in the water, and then she was able to just kind of like float in the water, and she didn't have to come up, and that was that was the most like amazing part of any of the birth, is having the baby be like, she just was like in the water, and you were like, no, she doesn't have to come out, she can just stay in there, and I'm like, wait, no, there, and then and of course, one of the biggest things about home birth is that you the father can help out a lot more so than a lot of times when it comes to a hospital. Like I was able to catch all three of my babies that I did, on at a home birth,
Yeah.
and so that bond that's created in those first moments of the baby's life, they last forever, and so it's just powerful
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It is beautiful. I know I'm just like flashing back to the image of her, the head coming out and her being like, what do I do now? And it's just like, yeah, whatever you're doing, just wait till the next contraction. And like that moment when like she's half in, half out, and you could just like, see her between the worlds while you're waiting for like the next sensation to push her out. And then I remember she was like right up on mama's chest and she started crying right away. And then big sister like just came barreling in because we thought she was asleep, but she was really just like quietly listening the whole time, just waiting for the baby. It was so sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to sleep through that process there. I mean, it's definitely not a quiet process.
Yeah, yeah. When Lisa and I, we were just out of birth on Jade's birthday, but like a year later, it was sweet.
Yeah.
Like we were chatting about it, and she was remembering that Blondie, your guys' dog, because she had gotten pregnant and had puppies during Cassie's pregnancy, and during labor, she kept bringing Cassie all of her toys, like to the like right by the tub. She was laboring in the tub. She just kept like bringing all her toys, like just like I need to comfort you. Like, I know what you're going through. It's really cute.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, she's a smart dog, and she's a sweet dog too. So yeah, she was right there, like it's the all hands on deck, all paws on deck.
Yeah. It was a sweet experience for me because I had supported Cassie at the very beginning of my career in birth work, and I was her doula. And like then to have her
Mm.
call and say she was pregnant, wanted to do a home birth. I was like, oh, it feels such like full circle for me, like the beginning stages of me learning about birth work and supporting her. And I remember when she had her baby, she's like, I would never do this without you. And then,
Yeah,
years later, calling me and wanting to do a home birth. And yeah, I just loved how smooth it was. And honestly, like I remember laughing when I charted her like blood loss because I was like, I guess I'll call it something, but she actually had absolutely none. It was like we called it like
yeah,
a
yeah.
bloodless birth. There was like no blood loss. She just didn't bleed. It was amazing. And I think her bleeding stopped in like a week after or something. It was very
Yeah, she's a tough woman, and my hat goes off to all the women that, go through the process, and, and you midwives that, guide us through, because, it is a natural process, but, we can't do it alone, is, from all the times that you go in and, check the heartbeat, and, all the reassuring, and, that goes along, from the time, we bring you on board to the time, you bring her in the world, and then it continues after, I mean, we still have the umbilical cord that you wrapped up
like
uh,
dehydrate.
yeah, in a love. It says love on it, and wrapped around, and it dries,
Mhm.
and then also, the capsules, and, all the follow up, and, all the making sure, all the stuff done after, as far as the testing, and, helping out with birth certificate and social security, and all that stuff. A lot of stuff that, gets done at the hospital,
Yeah.
um,
And normally you're
that's what we
just
need
almost
you
not even
for.
a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a big piece of the puzzle, just
Yeah.
having that experience. So, we can't thank you enough for, you know,
Yeah.
for what you did for us,
It
and,
was my
all the
pleasure.
moms all over.
It was like sitting with a sister, I've known her for so long. It was so sweet to be with somebody that I was already like that comfortable with. Um,
Yeah,
well, I have a
that is
question about usually like if a partner has any hesitations about home birth, like the main three questions that they have for us is the safety. They want to know about the safety and the what ifs. The cost because a lot sometimes it's covered by insurance, but a lot of times it's not. And cleanup. Like she just had a baby, she's not going to clean up the mess. Like, am I going to get stuck with the mess? So were there like anything about those three things that came up for you when you were deciding on home birth?
yeah. So, safety is something that, I feel comfortable with the process. Like I said, I was a home birth, and I know a lot of people that have home births. We had it at home. We're only 10. I mean, what are we? 15 minutes away from a hospital. So that did play into the factor, being semi close to a hospital, just in case something does happen, being close. So that definitely feels good. Um, as far as the cleanup, yeah, I mean, you guys, I think there was three of you. Yeah, there was you, Lisa, and then there was two of you, and then Lisa came over later. So yeah, I mean, there
Yeah,
was three
Emma was
people.
with us, and I actually just took her on as a full-time student recently. Yeah, so Emma is a student midwife. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think our baby came at like 3 in the morning or something. It was in the middle of the night, and so
Didn't it start snowing like that next morning or something? It
yeah,
was
it
snowing.
started. Yeah, it did, actually. Cassie just reminded me of that. It started snowing, and I think the baby came at 3 in the morning, and I hung out with the baby for a couple hours, and then I was exhausted, and you know, I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and the tub was folded up, all the, you know, all the towels were in the laundry, you know, all the, you know, the kitchen was clean. So yeah, you know, we definitely got our money's worth, you know.
That's actually one of my favorite parts is like leaving the house with no sign that a birth happened except that there's a baby. You know, I love
Yeah,
that
that's
part.
it. It's like this, you know, the stork came and just dropped off a
Yes,
baby, you know.
exactly. You got a package.
And then, you know, I mean, yeah, as far as the cost, I mean, I don't know, you know, I don't know how much, I forget how much it even costs, you know. But like I said, it was worth, you know, it's worth every penny to us because, you know, that time is precious, you know. And so for me and Cassie and my partners, it's just, you know, it's something that we value, you know. And so, you know, when it comes down to, is it, you know, is it cost effective or was it worth it? It comes down to, you know, it comes down to value, you know. Is that something that, you know, you're going to value? And that's something we definitely will do over time and time again, you know, if we have an opportunity. So
Yeah, it was a priority for you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, I was really happy that she was, you know, wanted to do a home birth, you know, like a lot of people just don't, are, you know, afraid of home births. It's,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I remember
scary. So
she called me and said she was pregnant, wanted to do home birth, and I said, because we hadn't met, and I was like, "So what does your partner think about it? Is he on board?" She's like, "Oh yeah, he's done this." And I was like, "Oh, that's so great."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
What was is there anything that stood out for you in like the postpartum, like the early postpartum? I do remember like there was one night where Cassie called me because Jade had been up for like, I think it was like 5 hours at that point, just crying. And this must have been the first week, even, or like she was 5 days older. I don't know, something like that. The number five is popping up in my head. But do you remember that night? And um,
Yeah,
anything else that
yeah,
sticks out to you in the postpartum?
yeah, yeah. I do remember that night. You know, that was a pretty rough night. It was one of those times when, you know, the baby just couldn't be comforted. You know, I think it was the night I also ran. You know, I ran and got her first pacifier that night in the middle of the night. You know,
Right,
because
anything.
you know, yeah, you're just like, you know, grasping at straws. You know,
Mhm.
but that, you know, that's going to happen with a baby. You know, there's going to be times when, you know, they're going to cry uncontrollably, you know. And so um you just got to weather the storm, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But having, you know, able to call you and, you know, have you tell us that this, you know, everything's, you know, fine, this is normal, you know, definitely, you know, makes us feel better that, you know, we're not being bad parents or something's not wrong with the baby, or, you know,
Mhm.
it's just, you know, it's that level of like reassurance that, you know, we're doing all that we can, you
Yeah.
know. And
To, to me, it struck me as like almost Cassie's trauma from her last birth coming through, like not her last birth trauma, but like because Sequoia just cried nonstop for a couple days until she was able to get to chiropractor and cranial sacral, and then she just like stopped crying, you know. And they
yeah,
weren't gonna even let her out of the hospital, you know, and they just like left and got that done. And so there was like a way where I was like hearing the story, and I was like, I wonder like if this is manifesting because Cassie needs to like push past that this isn't
mhm,
that story anymore, you know, and like this baby doesn't have to, you know, be saved necessarily by somebody else. Like she can just ride it out and then she can be okay. Because I
mhm,
remember we like got a chiropractor and she was gonna like come in an hour or whatever, like because she had to drive way up there. And and like as soon as we had it dialed in that somebody was gonna go up there, she stopped and she went to sleep. And then it was like not a thing,
mhm.
you know? And so we told the chiro not to come and we're like, we'll just be in touch if it's a thing again. And then it just like wasn't a thing. And it was like, yeah, to me, it was just so like reminiscent of that other experience, I was like, I wonder if it was just like something within her that needed to like sort itself out, like it hadn't fully healed her last experience with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I could see something like that happening. You
Hmm.
know, I think eventually, if they cry long enough, they get so tired they gotta fall asleep. You know,
Yeah.
um, so but I'll kind of speak to that. That having a midwife like it's the care extends. I think it was 6 weeks, right? Pat,
Mhm. Yeah,
we
at
were
the time
doing.
it was, I've actually extended my care for the first year postpartum. I just
Oh,
did that.
really?
I just changed everything this year,
Wow.
because I recognize that like that first year, there are so many huge changes in that first year. And it just seems
Mhm.
silly to end care so early. 6 weeks feels so early to me now. So
Mhm.
I was calling it like 9 months in, 9 months out, but I've been, basically being with them for the first year on and off, because I feel like there's just so many referrals. And like at 6 months, mama's ready to like talk about her body and her pelvic floor and all these things as she's like kind of moving out of the like being totally absorbed with the baby. At 6 weeks, she's still all about the baby, but at
Yeah.
6 months, she's ready to talk about her body and, things like that. So I think the referrals feel more appropriate later on in that first year. Yeah, so that's exciting to be able to like stay with the family until the following birthday and everything. And my hope
Yeah.
is that in changing that in my practice, other midwives will, do the same. And then the postpartum bar will just be raised, and that will be like baseline and normal. And, yeah, I think it's helpful to have support that first year.
Yeah, well, that is, far beyond the care you're going to get from a hospital birth. I mean, if you go to hospital birth and your baby's crying in the middle of the night, they're going to say, "Oh, take it to the emergency room."
Right.
You're not going to have a physician's cell phone number to call in the middle of the night to like calm you down and so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
can save you a trip to the ER.
Yeah. And that baby getting poked and prodded because they have to cover all their bases now that you're in here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
if you think something's wrong with your baby, you'll rush that baby to the hospital,
Hmm.
real fast. So yeah, that was, that's a huge piece of the puzzle for us. And
The reassurance, yeah. And I mean, that's
yeah,
our job in birth most of the time too, is to be able to say, "This is normal," like, "Yeah, that's
yeah,
normal." Just the
totally.
reassurance that this is normal. I feel like
Yeah,
we
yeah,
took a class on, like, how many ways can we say, "This is normal." "Oh, yeah, that looks normal."
yeah, totally. Yeah, I can still hear the heartbeat. Yeah, yeah, everything's normal.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for taking time to chat with me. I loved hearing your experiences, and I totally forgot that you were born at home. I'm so jealous. I'm always jealous of people born at home.
Yeah, yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, yeah, great. Well, it was good to see you. Have a good
Yeah,
night.
yeah, awesome. Okay, great. You too.
Bye.
Tell your family love.
I will.